Perfect. So welcome everybody today to the Four Corners 4K speaker series. I am very, very happy that François Guérin is here with us today. He has so many different inspiring things that he shared with me, and that I thought that you could also all really learn or too. I find that he's very empowering in the way that he's
on your lap.
Is great.
Because I don't need to see it.
Okay, I'm sorry I've muted everybody online because it gets loud if the mics are all on. Yes, so without further ado, I will let François Guérin talk to you. You also know that he wrote a book, My Answer to Dr. Parkinson, which is also a very interesting and inspiring book. So I will let him start and come up here and talk to you. You would have to come up here though.
Oh, okay.
I won't see you online.
Hi.
So this is your,
Okay. Oh, good.
so they see you.
Yeah, it's me. It's me. Good. Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Very well.
Well, okay. I'm very proud to be here with you. My English not so good, so I got my English teacher with me, Linda. She's gonna help me to be very clear, and if you have questions, don't be afraid. I'm gonna answer. Why I am here, because I got Parkinson's disease since 2008, and it's almost 15 years with that disease. So far, I'm pretty good for the moment. Some days bad, some days good, but mostly okay. And we're going to talk about the Parkinson. There's so many different for each person. It's for each different.
Yes, well, they say each Parkinson person with Parkinson is different than the other next door neighbor person with Parkinson. I myself was diagnosed 10 years ago at the age of 44. So we both have a lot of knowledge on what Parkinson is about for us, and anyhow, not for everybody because we're all different. But besides the Parkinson is their own.
Okay. Yes, for myself, mostly the symptoms are rigidity. So sometimes it's very special for myself. In 2008, I had a.
That's not.
I've been snapped at the RG, used to be RG here, and I have it was very painful for a few months. I went to see a physiotherapist, anything. After 8 months, they can't find what was the problem. So my neighbor, Linda, another Linda, she used to work at the hospital. So she told me, maybe it's a neurologic problem. I said, no, it's physical because I receive a, but I went to the, you see, is neurologist at La Gardère, and it takes 10 minutes, and that lady tell me, Mr. Guérin, you got Parkinson. It's hard, it's pretty hard to, but and I said to her, I'm too young to have Parkinson. It's impossible. Yes, sir.
Did you say that the blow started it? Did
Yes.
you start with the,
No, he thought he was looking for a reason why it's still hurting him.
Yeah.
But it's didn't have any link.
Coincidence.
No, it's just coincidence.
we already had the Parkinson's?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I can't imagine just with that little piece of yeah. So I said to her, it's impossible. I'm too young. Sir, you got it. So I went back home, and I was with my girlfriend. It's a shock. It's really a shock. And how are we gonna face it? Family, friends, job. For myself, after that this diagnostic, I used to work for 5 more years, but after that it was very hard to keep going. And I said, my neurologist said to me, we should stop to take care of your disease for me. And after that, I during 2 years I was like, nothing, I want to do nothing, I was too tired. And after that, I said to myself, oh, François, take you in the end, take you and go. So I start to move a little bit more, a little bit more. So in 2010, with my girlfriend, we went hiking in Peru. We went to Machu Picchu. My left leg and my left side was more, it was,
Yeah, he was already experiencing more difficulties.
Mhm.
That's right as well.
my right leg was good, so I wanted to be better. So I stopped play hockey, I stopped the job, and I take my girlfriend to Peru. We went to the Machu Picchu, like I said, and Cordillera Blanca at the same moment.
Wow.
So after when we came back from that trip, I said to her, Chantal, I want to go somewhere else in the mountains. So yeah, I want to go to Nepal.
Oh,
So we went to Nepal. Yeah, for 1 month and a half. We went to the base camp of Annapurna, which is 5,500 meters high. So I was very proud of me.
Yeah.
Okay, then I came back. Linda is not with me anymore at that time.
No,
I
no.
met her a little bit later. You can see. 2014. I went to Labrador, Newfoundland with my bike. It's very special because that part of the country was very wild. There was no asphalt road, just a gravel road. Dust, bugs, bears.
Yeah, industry, no industry,
Uh,
factories, no factories, everything.
Their land, just
Yeah.
That's-
Beautiful.
and wildlife.
That's
We went, if you want to, we went to Cartwright, which is a small village here up north, Cartwre. I know, that place is very far away. When we came, we went, bicycles. What are you doing here? So it was, for them, it was impossible. So I've done that, it was for all the trip was 3,200 kilometers.
Wow. Ooh.
When I came back from that trip, Parkinson to Quebec called me. He said to me, François, I would like to do something with you. Bicycle. Yes. So I went to the office and I said to her, because I've done the east of Canada. So why I don't do the west?
Wow.
So she was looking at me and, are you serious? Oh yeah, I want to do Vancouver to Montreal on a bike. So in 2016, after 5,500 kilometers, I raised $15,000 for the research.
Wow.
And now there's Linda. We went. I met Linda when I used to do not a show, presentation.
Did a conference on his adventure across Canada adventures. And I attended to see who this crazy guy was. That's how we met.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, she's a very nice girl. She works hard. So we had a plan to do something very different because instead to do the Canada with to get money, I said to my friend, why don't we do the Quebec just to see the people, just go there, talk about that disease, what you feeling with that disease, and we've done that together. Huh?
I was not on a bicycle. That's why I did the whole province. In 3 weeks, we went and visited the 12 regions throughout, starting by Abitibi, we went to Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. I say we, but he's the one. Then we went down to the Rimouski and Quebec City, Sherbrooke. We went all the way to back to Mont-Tremblant. We ended it in Saskatchewan. So it was a three-week venture for François on his bicycle. He was accompanied at certain instances. I was following in an RV. So
With the Eve,
yeah, my husband rode his bike for some kilometers, but I
And
did maybe 30 or so.
I get Granby, and Granby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
good.
the whole thing. So.
But the main reason was to, like I said, go to see the people, what what is their issues, what is the.
To bring attention more so to
Yeah.
the cause and to tell people that there are resources, and unfortunately, those resources are not always so easy to find. But there are resources for people and their caretakers in Quebec, across Canada and worldwide. And we wanted to vet that to the population more or less. So it was the main goal of our endeavor at that point.
I was very happy to do that because sometimes when, example, we went to Sherbrooke. And at Sherbrooke, there was a bunch of people who was waiting for us, about 50 people.
Oh, yeah.
And that we were there, we did a presentation. And I think that 2 or 3 persons come with, after the presentation, come to see us. One a man told me, François, you too much.
Yeah, it was too emotional.
And he was very emotional because he said to me, now I want to take my bike, I want to ride, even if it's just at home,
Yeah.
but now he said to me, I don't want to move.
Yeah.
But then that trip was 2,200 kilometers.
To bring aware the need of as they say, we need to keep moving.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult myself. I'm not an athlete of any sort. I don't move as much as I used to, but the importance is there. It's a way of dealing with or learning to live with this debilitating disease.
Yeah,
As with many other ones.
Yes,
I've
indeed.
got,
It's not-
but I
not-
have my
it's
own.
not to,
Yeah.
we are here just to move a little bit more,
Yeah,
just on the other side, go outside, take a walk. And,
That's it.
have friends.
Yeah.
Socially as well. They put a lot of importance on the physical aspect, but the social interaction is as much as, if not more important in my book, for people, and that's why the last 2 years have been so difficult on everybody, but people who actually need social interaction is been even more difficult.
Yeah, like she says, of course, we have to move, but also to have friends around us, just to keep us to keep the spirit and keep this bond.
Keep hope. That's important.
And inspiration and
Yeah.
encouragement.
And we all have our things that we do that help us, and exchanging that with others. Hey, I didn't think of that, and let me try it. And then you get more and more people involved, and then you create these social groups, and once in a while you get together, and it's all for the better.
Cozy corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not just for the people who have the disease themselves, but for the caretakers around them, who we tend on sometimes forgetting their importance, but their importance is prime.
Yeah, and like I said to everybody, to go outside, go even if you sometimes like we are not very sharp. I mean, sometimes we walk a little bit like this. So don't be for myself. Don't be shy to move. It's the same thing.
Sometimes you have to force yourself.
Yeah.
That's me sometimes.
And for myself, I talk very much. I talk about the disease. Everybody I met, because many people ask us what you live, François, now. Are you okay? Because they don't know if you are okay or not. Sometimes we go off. You know what I mean? Off. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So like and 1 hour we are okay. The other hour sometimes your battery is low.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing, right? You're 1 minute you're seen like, everything's fine, and then an hour later, you're like bedridden for the rest of the day because you're totally off, which is my case most of the time. Is you don't So you arrange your life around it, you know, you don't make dinner plans or least as possible, and you do things in the morning and the afternoon, and that's how we get around to dealing with some of these issues
Day by day.
day by day.
Yeah, and like you know, we can't deal with the stress now. We are more affected by the stress. So try to less stress.
Yeah, so avoid any stressful
Yeah,
opportunities.
yeah.
You can avoid them. That's doing yourselves a favor. But that's for everybody. I think you know, whether you have Parkinson's disease or not. It's just with the Parkinson's disease, it seems to create, you know, tend you to lead the longer period versus someone who does not. So you got to be wary of these things.
So because here I have my two boys in my and though my two boys are sont près de moi, and they did it in different ways. Gabriel is more sentimental, is more emotional, but Alexandre, go, puppy, go. But it's but at the end of that is. Even when we had the visit of my boys, and sometimes they are at home. I got 4 small, and you know how it is. They move a lot and they cry. So after 2 hours, okay, what's that? But no, we have to deal with those things. Like Linda, you got 3.
I have 3 grandchildren, and like I like to say is I love to see them when they arrive, and I love to see them when they go. They purge a lot of energy out.
Figures.
So I have 3 granddaughters, yes.
Yeah.
So you have Parkinson's as well.
I was diagnosed 10 years ago, yes.
Really?
At the age of 44. So like François, it was what possible and too young, but evidently your statistics aren't clear enough on the fact that there was a lot of younger adults, and I know a woman who was diagnosed at the age of 27 and can go back and relate to some of her symptoms 10 years before that. So I'm guessing that as the science is evolving, they're diagnosing people younger and younger, and the image or the image of that it's a quote unquote old person's disease is still something that we have to overcome a lot of the times, because basically it's not always visible. Right now you could not tell. Give me an hour or so and you'll realize that indeed I'm you know, I'm affected by this disease, but you got to hold, you know, you got to go over and above all these misconceptions of what people think, and that's the hard part. I find is facing that, but the way of getting around it is explaining, right? Is to not feed ignorance, but you know, explain to people what it is and tell them, yeah, I have Parkinson's for 10 years and I'm 54 years old, and it's not an old person's disease, quote unquote, and that as people think it is, although the majority are still within our elders, but we still have a lot of younger people being diagnosed.
I think Michael J. Fox was only 35, wasn't he?
Oh, if not younger, yeah, he was, and it's been over 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Well, they say, doctors say that once you get diagnosed, I mean, it's been at least 5 years, 6 years that you've been affected. It comes to a point where all your neurons are, not your neurons, but the dopamine has been eliminating from the system. It's been a long time.
I have a question here from my colleague that's in Saint Agathe. Asking about symptoms, what your symptoms are, and does medication help?
Asking me, myself, my symptoms are more of cognitive issues. For the cognitive issues, no, medication does not help. At least I tried, and for me it had negative side effects. Physical symptoms are apparent when I'm very tired. I do face problems walking, typically at night, or when I'm out, obviously. But at night, I have a lot of difficulty getting around. But more of my symptoms of the cognitive issues, so memories, operating or dealing or doing something which would take me an hour to do, now takes me a full day. Like preparing for Christmas dinner. I used to do that in 1 or 2 days, and now I'm 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, a bit at a time. Definitely, my memory is my biggest, is what scares me the most, obviously. But it's the thing I have the most problem with is task management and memory issues.
Yes, exactly. It's about the same for me, it's more physical. And sometimes, like you said, sometimes I have problem to walk. So I walk. So when I like that, I go to have a nap for half an hour, and after that, I'm better, much better. But then it's hard because you like that, you can fall, you have to be careful.
But the medication is more helpful for any type of physical symptoms than cognitive.
Just I want to see one of my friends, we used to play badminton together. So that gentleman had 65 years old, and I was looking at him and I said, Marcel, something. So he came and stood there beside me. So we talked about that disease, and I said to him, "Do you smell now?" He said to me, "No, you got Parkinson because you lose your
Sense of smell.
yeah, it's one of the symptoms."
Well, I got a question here that's maybe relative to that from my colleague, the people attending at St. Gap. Does it affect a certain lobe in your brain?
That's too technical for me.
But I think so, if it's affecting your senses, there must be something. Might be interesting to look into it.
You refer to a medical.
Yeah, it's more. I know we have for myself. I got cramps when I do too much things in one day. In the night, I know I'm going to have some things. So legs are.
But there's this image that they keep showing us of this iceberg, right?
Yeah.
What these symptoms we kind of recognize, because François, we don't shake. At least not under. I don't shake on a regular basis. It'll happen periodically, but certainly not on a regular basis. And that's what people think. Parkinson, we shake. But that's top of the iceberg. There's about 50, 60 other symptoms. Going all the way from constipation to swallowing issues to dyskinesia to talking, fluidity, pains. I know I have a lot of pains in my legs and in my back. Rigidity, and so the list goes on and on and on. That's why they say every Parkinson patient is different than the next one, because we don't all have the same symptoms. They don't all come at the same time, and they don't all come to each anyhow, which that's why it makes this disease even more complex, because these are your symptoms, these are his, these are mine, but they're trying to find a solution for all. It's trying to find a solution for all these 3 diseases, basically, and that's the complication of this Parkinson.
We went. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, listening to all that, a lot of the symptoms you describe are symptoms that I'm dealing with, so it can get very confusing, I think, with diagnosing whether it's that, whether it's the severe arthritis, whether it's this, all these other things, right?
I'm privileged to be a patient of the Montreal Neurological Institute. I say privileged, and I say it strongly because it's top notch. You got your pristine neurologists and research teams there. And I asked a question because I didn't recognize myself in many of the known or thought of symptoms. And the answer was, well, we started feeding you with levodopa, the yellow,
You know,
Yes,
Yellow
yes,
pill?
yes, yeah.
we started feeding you with that and your body responded. So had there been no response, then we think we would have been on the wrong direction. Because Parkinson, there's no blood test, there's no MRI, there's nothing. I mean, they'll do them to test to eliminate
Yes.
potential causes of your problems, but Parkinson is not a diagnostic, it's
just by symptoms.
it's not, it's subjective. And the true diagnostic, unfortunately, will be at the autopsy. But really, it's the way that medicine helps you. If they find that then they say, well, it's the Parkinson. If not, then they'll investigate more. But usually they go like the worst case scenario and draw it down to Parkinson's. Not that it's a best case scenario, but they
Yes.
eliminate what is more not more chronic, but more like they'll look for any type of tumor, brain tumor or whatnot. So once they eliminate that, then you could breathe a little more, but then they come down to something which called Parkinson's, which is this big other animal that you got to face with.
And you know what, also, when you get diagnostic, for myself, I was afraid about the disease goes fast. Sometimes for a few person, it goes fast, the symptoms. For other person, it's very slow. So you don't know it. You're gonna.
Well, it's progressive, it's degenerative, but at different stages. I mean, first few months, you have to wake up in reality of all that and absorb it. And then you get periods where it goes down pretty much, and then it stabilizes. So like Parkinson, like MS and these diseases, it goes by plateaus. And once you're not a good plateau, then you hope you stay there as long as possible. But every 6 months, every 8 months, they're revisiting your medication and adjusting this and adjusting that, because it's always trial and error to try to give you the best quality of life as possible. They're not curing you, they're making your life better.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe in the medication, because I know it's not going to heal me, but if it can give me a couple hours in the morning and come to speak to all you people, and otherwise I'd be in bed and not moving.
But Mr. Parkinson have a headache. He's screaming. He don't stop.
Yeah.
Excuse me, when you were bicycling, what would happen if you had an off day?
If I have an off day, I sleep.
Yeah, you just.
I sleep for a few hours and then I can just walk around and.
Okay.
But you know what? I don't stop very much. So I get some. Okay, I got something to stop. It's very funny. When I started my trip from Vancouver to Montreal on my bike, the first night I went to, because I used to work for Vanwood Coffees before, which is a coffee culture. I was in the West, and there was a branch of Vanwood over there. But I arrived in the evening, but too late. The door was closed. Now I have to go to there. So I said to myself, I'm going to spend the night in the parking lot with the table somewhere. I go there. I think I go sleep. By 2 o'clock in the morning, that car comes just in front of me with those lights.
Oh,
And well, what happened? So the guy stopped his car, opened the door, walk at me. Hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing? Well, I explained to him what I do. Wow, nice, very good, man. But you know what? You're not at a good place at a good time. Because you know what? Why? At 2 o'clock in the morning, it was a party for just gentlemen. And, like a special party. Okay, I said, okay, I'm going to go to Tim Hortons. It's kind of special. Okay.
but to add on to François, when he's bicycling, he's got less off. He's moving.
Oh, yeah.
He's got, it's like the system feeds itself with that. So certainly he gets off, he stops off his bike and he takes a nap. But at that time, and we're going back 7 years ago already. So, he wasn't as affected as he is today.
Mhm.
So the off periods were not as severe as they are today. So he dealt with them by taking a 5-minute nap or just by continuing to cycle, and then it would eventually pass away.
Because I stopped, because I just go and take a small nap. And even with me, hey, François, I'm going, I say for 10 or 15 minutes, just, and after that, I'm okay. So he said, why, already? Keep going. So, there's some questions, of course, I don't tell you to do all those trip and bicycle. I just said to myself,
It's
just to move a little bit, like, just at home, just a bicycle, or
Just go outside and take a walk.
outside, to go out, have friends, just by talking, just that.
I understand
Yeah,
that so much.
And I have
about
many
your
friends, it's
routine.
very, it helps a lot. I play badminton, I play hockey, I play, and it's good for the spirit, it's good for the mind. Just have friends.
What I find confusing with Parkinson also is that you can have other complications, other diseases
Mhm.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing.
Yeah.
You're already a little confused.
Yeah.
And so slowly, I find that I give things up. And it's not the right thing to do, especially socially and physically. But I have, for instance, to go outside and walk, I'm afraid to do that.
Already.
I would need to have a cane or other people with me. And it's not always especially for other people to accompany you, it's not always available to you at the moment that you really need it, you know.
You know what what I would do, would said to the people, you got that disease. Don't hide. I don't hide. Said, okay. And the people gonna help you. No, they're gonna help. I'm sure that they're gonna help you. I do that often. So, my thing, I think.
Sure. I think by trying to hide it, you're doing yourself a
Yeah.
disservice. I don't know if that's what you're.
Well, I did for many years.
Yeah.
You're doing yourself a
I sort
disservice.
of come out of the closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all tend to do that for a while until it becomes inevitable, or you need to make decisions. Like in my case, I needed to make a career choice. At one point I said, well, if I diminish my working hours, then I'll be penalized upon taking my insurance, because I'm lucky to have private insurance. So I had to go and stay from one day I was in the office, and then the next day was finished. Where was I going with that again? But in these cases, you need to explain why you make these decisions. And I realized that the more I was telling people, the easier it was for me anyhow to get around. Not that I'm looking for people's pity, but I'm looking for people's understanding. And worst case is we've all been at the grocery store, and we could hear the people behind us acting, and
Just to get the money and.
yeah. And I've had times when I turned around and, no, sorry, I have Parkinson's disease. And then people just walk away.
Just an example, Eve, sister. Sometimes when I'm off, I walk like that, because my left side is affected, but the other side is not affected. So what we do something. When I'm off, even. That's an example, just that. But it's not a lot, so he knows that my left leg won't move, so, but no. That's a lot. It's just an example.
He's very.
And the people would be very happy to help you, I'm sure about that. I'm sure about that.
So for the people online, what François just demonstrated is that
Okay.
his friend will go next to him like you saw and put his foot in back of his left foot and push it to help him be able to be more mobile.
Well, it's just sometimes because the signal is not getting from the brain to the leg, and just by doing that, it wakes it up. And that's when you
When you're off, do you feel that it's more easy to walk or stairs? You know what I mean? So is it easier to get up the stairs or walk on the, especially
walking on flat land.
Yeah.
Upstairs.
Because for myself, going on in the stairs, it's much easier than walk on the floor. Why? I don't know why, but it's like that. For me. Yeah.
Because
Well-
of balance?
I don't know, it's like, but I don't want them that far.
When you go up the stairs, are you holding on to a banister?
Yeah,
If it is up.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mais, moi.
Maybe.
But to further on your question as to moving, there's things you can do indoors as well.
Yeah.
If you have a stationary bicycle or, you know, I don't know if you have the Wii.
Yeah, you can be bowling or play tennis.
Like on the TV. And the Wii is one of the things that we've tried and it helps. But you know, a lot of people are scared of going outside because they don't want to fall, and I understand that as well. But indoors, it's often if you move around and you do your.
I've seen something very special once in the video, and it was that okay, sorry. It was that lady with her father. The father had Parkinson. So when you go upstairs, it's good, but when he's on a flat, it's no good. You know what she's done? She's done the stairs by bending. You see the step. So you can put.
Oh.
That's what she's done on the floor. So you can just put your feet on the paint.
Yes.
The brain is
Yes,
a complex
yes.
thing.
Oh, it's very complex.
Very complex, what it perceives and it perceives stairs and it's gonna, like also said, it would. Some reason, your emotions are different. And your body reacts differently going upstairs and walking on flat land. And if your brain is seeing stairs, there's something in the brain that's saying to walk differently. And it kind of makes him advance.
It's that connection.
Yeah.
Mind,
Yeah,
body.
yeah. It's the neurodegenerative.
Yeah. Then you're walking upstairs all the time. And for him, it's been helpful.
Yeah, it's called a neuro. The connection is.
The brain is a very big animal.
Yeah.
It's that small as it is, and the area where it affects in the brain is very small. We're talking about the cortex before, but I know this answer is basically the black matter of the brain is very small. People who've had the surgery in the brain knows that it's a pine needle that think that will get a stimulator in the brain that will help, but it's very complex. And if they knew more about it, I think would be more advanced in science. It would be beneficial for a lot of diseases, not just Parkinson, but a lot of diseases.
Can you still drive a car online was one of the questions?
Depends of the how you feel. Depends on how you can. Someday yes, someday no. So even for me, some days when I don't feel like I can go to McDonald's, I don't. No, I'm kidding. But some days I don't take my car. Not at all.
For me, I won't exceed 5 kilometer radius from my house. I've been in situations where I've had to call and get someone come and pick me up and pick the car up. So I'll stay within a 5-10 kilometer radius. And I know when it's a good time. In the morning is fine. In the afternoon, towards the end of the afternoon, I have my driver, my husband's there, who's a full-time caretaker for me.
If you are not sure.
Don't leave home.
Yeah. If you're not sure that you're gonna be sharp, don't take your car. You like the
Can you describe what happens when you don't think you can continue driving?
It's confusion.
Yeah.
Confusion, I know my brain is not, I know I'm slow in taking in the information, and I just don't wanna take a chance. Basically, it's not by laziness, it's that I'm not, I know I'm not 100%
There.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's hard to explain, and as you find perhaps hard to explain yourself, what it is, for those who were affected, but it's, you know, that it's like, we've all been drunk. Can I assume that we've all been drunk?
It's,
You know, well, it's like being drunk and 10 times over, and it's,
you don't have any more reflex.
your reflexes are gone, you know, you feel like, a rag doll, you know, and it's more about the reflexes and then the memory. How do I get home? You know, and it's dangerous. I mean, I don't want to take chances for me and for others on the road. I become, when you're off, you're as a secure driver as someone who's drunk, basically. So, be responsible, and I'm not saying don't ever drive, but you need to be responsible. You have to declare it anyhow to the SAAQ and anybody's question. But you need to be responsible and say, well, you know, I'm drunk. I'm not. Anyhow, people, when we're off and we're walking home, a lot of people think we might as well play the game. Say, hey, I can't drive. You know. But it's about taking your own responsibility, and that's compensated.
And also knowing yourself, like you know yourself very well. I have a feeling if you know where you're.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But sometimes it happens fast, so if you are driving, you just move away on the road and
Yeah.
take a nap. Don't take, no.
There's no chances to be taken there. It's your life and others. You know, and any person here with grandchildren would know that the importance of our descendants, and we don't want to take chances and put anybody's life into at risk.
I have another question. Do you
Yeah.
ever experience the feeling like you're walking around in a haze?
Oh, yeah,
I guess that would relate.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
okay.
comme perdu dans la brume un
Ouais.
peu là.
It's good that it's hard to describe, but sometimes you are here, but the head is not there.
That's why I use the analogy of having a good, good drink the night before. When you wake up with a good hangover, then times 3, times 4, and it's there and it's not going away. So, yes, a lot of times.
And this doesn't help for problem solving.
No, but it's another thing, you gotta keep that active, you know, they say it's like a muscle of giving memory muscle to walking. And you gotta exercise your brain as well. I say a lot, I don't do a lot as I should. I do, you know, like doing puzzles, I find myself doing puzzles a little, like right and left. Sometimes there's some little applications on your phone for little memory games, those are good. But then doing too much is no good either, you know. For me, spending time in front of the screen, I used to do that 12 hours a day was my work, and now I can barely stay an hour in front of a computer screen, and then my mind goes awry. So
The next question is a bit relative to that. So it said, if it is more cognitive, what activity should you do? So you've given a few examples of apps.
Travel.
Yeah.
Cross.
board games, socializing. I find myself doing little games of puzzles with my grandkids. That's something I like to do, of course. Gives me more than just
Maybe a quiz.
yeah. So, and my children are at the age where they exchange a lot. So yeah, I find myself talking to a 4-year-old, but keeping my mind open that way is good for me. But certainly keep it active the most you can.
Because I just want to say something, because I want to say that Linda, she's extraordinary. She works, whenever you work together, she had so many ideas, it's incredible. So,
Time is gone.
but we've done a very good job, I think.
Yeah, we ran a group for a couple of years. And now we're you know, each of us a little too affected or less enthusiastic, I could say, because I feel sometimes at a point that I've done a lot, and I participate in a lot of research and stuff like that. And then seeing that there's a lot of groups now coming around, so I don't know if we were trendsetters or not, but maybe. But now there's a lot of organizations out there. There's a lot of information that provide some links, some good information. There's some groups locally. There's some aid groups locally. There's some groups internationally that are created to build awareness and certainly incentivize into research. We all know the Michael J. Fox organization, but there's others which have been built or come together by people with Parkinson's. So there's a lot of mobility is being done right now that if you want to, take a look into it, you'll get your own information. We'll provide you with directions, but more so you can participate and just, informing your surroundings about the existence of these organizations. So we get movements going and get more research. We know how fast science can come around to finding a solution when there's a problem that's innate and chronic. And we saw that with COVID. But Parkinson is under-evaluated first in terms of the diagnostic, but certainly is fastly evolving worldwide. So there's movements out there to get the government's more involved into research, and it's to get anybody's participation is just to basically signing into register your name, to see that you're involved in I lost the word, but
I want to add something for Linda, because in 2020, we've been to Japan with our opinion, because
yeah, 2019 before.
because the good job we've done for the Congrès mondial.
The World Parkinson Organization holds a meeting every 3 years, and in 2019 it was in Japan, and we were approached by the people at the Montreal Neurological Institute to go and do a presentation to the world, basically.
Yeah.
So we were off to Japan for 2 weeks 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah. So that was an experience that
Yeah.
I guess I would have never been to Japan had I had Parkinson's. So sometimes, you take the bad, which is some things could happen that you never ever foresee. It was not on my bucket list, but hey, I went to Japan. So why not? Why not?
Are there any statistics of what percentage of the population is affected by Parkinson's?
Those statistics exist. We'll send you some links of information to that, but it's growing, scarily growing. When talking about neurological disease, if you include Alzheimer's, MS, SLA, etc., ALS, the number is scary. I think they're in the 30s. So yes, the population is growing older, but the Parkinson, they know that it's multifactorial. It could be genetics, which is rare, but a lot of the pesticides, herbicides, they found proof that some of those are causalties to Parkinson's, and then it's just as effective within your own system. So the numbers are scary. They're scary, and in the upcoming years, up 20 to 30 years coming, the numbers are very high.
Yeah.
I have a question. You referred to falling. Is that something that's physical, or is it in the brain?
When you're off,
Oh,
well, there's sometimes you will trip and fall over, and that's because of your lack of mobility, or like the off period. When we talk about an off period, it's like I said, it's like if you're really drunk, your brain is not reacting, to anything. You're in a fuzzy state. You can't. My husband won't understand me when I talk. when I'm off period, I'm, you know, and your brain is very not reacting, you know, to anything. You're in a fuzzy state, you can't, I can't, my husband won't understand me when I talk, when I'm off period, I'm, you know, and you can see in my face.
Yeah, exactly.
You're off, so no reaction, I just stay there and like sit and stare in the blank.
Like poker face.
Yeah, there's an off, it's just, you're not there.
Yeah.
So if you or someone has Parkinson and you realize they're not moving, they're not reacting when I'm talking to them, is that they're an off period. That means that their medication is it's like always a roller coaster, right? If you take the medication, and sometimes you move up the roller coaster, then it goes down and you go up all day long, right? And the medication, they try to keep a stability as much as possible, but inevitably you're always going down and up, up and down, up and up.
So on a down period, you could.
Yeah, down period, the bottom of the, that you're off. Means there's no medication, there's no dopamine.
You can't walk anymore.
There's, you might as well be sitting in a chair and looking outside and that's it. There's no reaction in your face. Your brain's not thinking, it's just off.
But if you sometimes, if you eat too much proteins in the meal, it affects the
You're,
you eat it too much, it affects the les effets.
the protein is a good point. First of all, your neurologist has scheduled you a timetable for taking your medication, and it's important that you stick to it as much as possible. There's a reason for you're giving it those time, and don't compare with your neighbor because different people have different medication, different dosages, different times. So comparing is waste of time. Stick to the routine that you've been given and take a notebook and note that when issues happen, so you can talk to your neurologist, but certainly try to avoid eating at the same time as you take your medication, or give yourself a 30-minute window, because the protein, when you eat too much protein, it kind of fights its way into the system and kind of doesn't give way to the medication. So too much protein could be that your medication is certainly not, I mean, there's days when my medication won't work at all. I don't know why. You know, sometimes it's what I had the day before, but sometimes I don't know why, it just don't work. And sometimes it's because I had a steak and then I took my meds and the steak decided he was gonna lead the troops and not the medication. So you gotta be wary of these things, note it and talk to your neurologist about it. And they might guide you or direct you to different medication. There's ways around it, but it's different for everybody.
We had a question online. What type of medication do you take and how often do you take it?
Again, I mean, you know, how often I take it every 3 hours. But that's not my case. You know, I used to take way more a few years ago. And my system just couldn't take it anymore. So I've gone up and down, up and down. The dosage is it's to me, it's not, you know, I take two levodopa pills every 3 hours. And I take other stuff, but that's basically my dose of medication. François takes it in another form. If he wants to.
It's more different. I can show you.
Yeah.
What I got, it's more like, we call that a duodopa, which is a pump with a gel. A gel, it's the medication, it's the pills. So I'm going to show you.
Like diabetes.
Yes, François does not take the medication before. He gets it directly into this. Is it just time?
Don't be scared.
Don't have to take down the press.
You need music. You see, yeah, it's like this part is a pump, and this is a gel. So in the morning, you have the dose for the day, which is
Stay in front of the computer.
Oh, okay,
To
okay,
maybe
okay.
show the people online.
Okay, okay.
So François
I already-
has a constant dosage in the system. He doesn't have as much.
Yeah. So it goes directly in the,
Yeah.
in she,
Mhm.
it goes in the intestine gland.
Yeah.
And like she said, well, I got some off period, but not much.
Yeah.
And if I got one period, it's for 15 to 20 minutes, not more than that, because it goes very fast.
That's because I took his, and I disconnected. But seriously, he's got more constant. than-
Yeah,
than
yeah.
dopamine.
That-
Very steady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
steady.
One cassette is good for one day. Yeah. So myself, it helped me a lot, to be honest with you. So I can play badminton, I can play anything. So, but you have to be careful to fix it very,
It's not for everybody.
yeah.
Right.
It's not what?
It's not for everybody.
No.
Okay,
Mm.
you gotta be aware of that you're carrying something all the time, and then, some people will say, I don't want that, some people are okay with it, but, it's, certainly there's different options than just the pills themselves.
Is this subsidized financially?
C'est sur les assurances, François?
Pardon?
C'est sur tes assurances?
Oui.
Yes, it is insurance.
Thank you, thank you.
No, I'm kidding.
Ouais.
Yeah. But you gotta make a special request, I think it's.
Yeah.
Exceptional, but, and the operation was just a few hours. To install the tube inside.
It
and
was that or, the other operation in the
The
brain?
deep brain stimulation is another operation, but then again. It's not for everybody, depends on what you have as symptoms as well. So there's different options but your neurologist can direct you. Just be wary that there are these options. So if you talk to your neurologist, say, hey, could that be good for me? But it's not for everybody.
Was he using this method when he was bicycling?
No, that's a year ago,
Oh,
a year ago. Now he's stuck. No, that's past year. Almost 2 years, I think.
so as far as they know from a research point of view about it being genetic or hereditary or?
That's what I'm wondering.
Hereditary, it's very rare. And I don't want to speak for research as well, but I'll tell you what I've heard. I know I think there's a few families in the world, a handful of families in the world where there are multiple siblings who have Parkinson's disease, but it's not something which is common. So I don't think they spend much time researching on the hereditary factors. It's much more something within your own. No, I have brothers who are not affected, and they can test your genes, whether it's in your genes or not, and I'm happily touch wood that it is not for me, so it's like, at least my mind is clear of that for my children, but it's a lot, like I said, multi-causal, including pesticides, which is something which is highly researched on the causes, and just in the last year, I think the Quebec government has recognized Parkinson as a professional disease for farmers. So it's recent that in Quebec it's been recognized. So some farmers have been financially aided due to their having Parkinson due to the fact that they were manipulating pesticides. But again, that's not majority, but there are some cases of that.
All dressed,
I'm sorry?
he's all dressed.
He's all dressed.
Yeah, but I love that thing.
Because you love it because it's stable and reassuring,
Yeah,
yet you don't have to remember.
no, it's exactly.
You don't have to remember.
Because I'm a bad, I don't think, when I used to take pills, sometimes I forgot and
Yeah.
it's a mess up.
But they're good tools to remember
I love
by,
it.
and it's
Yeah.
a telephone, if you have a telephone, set your alarm. I don't. It's a too, but I don't do it, because it would ring too often. But you can set your alarms to yourself to take your meds. My husband says, hey, let me take your meds. So it's less harassing than the sound of an alarm, but if you have these things, use them to your advantages. And there are some applications that could help you speak to get to neurologists about it. These applications are being developed for people with smartphones. And if you're bound to help with research, there's certainly a lot of research studies being done in Montreal. You don't always have to go to the city. Sometimes they're done over the phone. And if you can participate, it certainly helps in evolving the research. So that's another practical thing that we can do as people affected by Parkinson's disease.
I have two questions.
Sure. Please.
First, when it comes to long-term, God forbid, short-term, but we all know it's inevitable that you will need serious help.
Yeah.
But I don't see in either reading or on TV or even talking in support groups, this solution being a place for people with Parkinson to go at the end, towards the end of life. I mean, I see it for Alzheimer's and for those things, but Parkinson is another specific disease that has.
It's a good question. It's a good question. I would return that question maybe to an organization like Parkinson Canada or Parkinson Quebec. They could certainly help you more in finding resources of that sort. There's the Maison Gilles Cal. I don't know if you've heard, there's 8 or 10 in Quebec. Those are houses that were specific. Well, Gilles Cal was a movie director back in the 70s. He was affected by Parkinson's for such a long time. He has passed away. And his spouse put together this foundation for the Maison Gilles Cal, and they exist. They don't, it's mostly centers to give the caretakers a break, so they'll take you in a short-term basis. But in terms of long-term, burnout, I wouldn't be able to answer that question too. I would probably expect to be always in the same places. I would think,
It came up for me in particular because I was doing my will.
yeah.
And so there's a block of care for me, which has not been looked after at all, like I haven't found out enough information. I'd have to go back to the notary with a plan,
But again, those are all proper to you. I mean, it's got to be what your decisions is, what you're willing to go, how far, and where to go. And yeah, I mean, research on Parkinson Quebec and Parkinson Canada are certainly places that could help you find those answers. I'm not.
So there's nothing pre-existing.
Well, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know.
But the future is a bit like we don't know exactly where we're going. The future is full. That's why I feel the need to be too. So which way we go, we don't know exactly.
Because it's so diverse.
Yeah, exactly.
My other question is, how do I get in touch with a professional at the Montreal?
You ask your doctor.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been able to see him for 3 years. I'm still running on the same medications.
Yeah, you are. You're a neurologist. She's a neurologist.
Yes,
Oh, yeah. 3 years.
3 years.
And the same thing. Well, that's. I find that's not acceptable
No.
because you need to be reviewed every 6 to 8 months. To get to you need to have a paper from your general practitioner, and then you can contact the neuro. That's the only way. My general practitioner said, he gave me the paper. He says, Linda, the best thing you can do is go to neuro. And I was living in Laval at the time, so it wasn't too bad. Now I'm in Prévost, but I still go to the neuro because I truly believe that I'm not saying that other hospitals are not getting good service, but that's their specialty is
Mhm.
the brain. So you need the paper from your general practitioner. And push to that because 3 years without
I
seeing
know,
a neurologist, I say that's not
But their
very.
excuse is COVID.
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah, but
they had, they had the phone today.
yeah, exactly.
Even with COVID, I went to see my doctor every 6 months. We wear the mask and all. But I say more than 6 months, 9 months.
6
You
months.
need to see a doctor at least once a year, minimal every 9 months. I wouldn't accept that. You should insist or search another neurologist and so get a paper from your general practitioner and contact the neuro or wherever you see fit to see, but I think that's not acceptable.
Me too. 6 months.
I think we give a lot of responsibility on COVID and that's and I understand it, but not for neurological.
That's become an excuse.
It's chronic, it's chronic, it's the degenerative. Your situation is not what it was 6 months ago, and in 6 months is not what it is today. Some things, not everything, but certain things will change. You need to see a neurologist at least every 9 months.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said that cognitively, you look at stairs differently than walking.
That's what François was
Yeah,
saying.
for myself, it's more easy to
Right.
steps than walking and when
Right.
when I'm off,
Right.
when I'm off.
Okay, so my question is, I've read that for people with Parkinson's disease, boxing is
Yeah.
very good for them.
Yeah,
Because it stimulates the brain.
exactly.
I just want to know, is that
We
a
used
fact?
to be,
Boxing?
yeah.
But they will for any sport is good. If you
Okay.
don't like to box, don't go boxing. If you
Yeah,
don't like to
okay.
ride a bike, do something you like
Okay,
and do it.
okay,
Okay, but the boxing is because it's an all inclusive, you do the stretching, you move the arms, you move the leg, it's cardio. So, but if you go do the box, find a box that is therefore
Suitable for
adapted
you.
to your needs. But if you don't like to box, you like to go play
Swim,
tennis,
you can
go play
swim.
tennis.
Okay.
You like to swim, go swim. Don't do it because they say box is good for you, because they'll say, if you don't say I'll do boxing and you don't go, might as well
right,
something.
right,
Do something you like to do.
do something.
Okay.
If it's gardening,
okay.
then
Yeah.
when you go garden, make sure you garden your hearts out, do gardening.
Right.
Shoveling stones, I did.
Come to my house,
Yeah.
but it's gotta be something you like to do, not just because they said boxing, all sports.
Okay, that's what I
Physical
want to
activity.
know.
But you know what, for me, it's to me, the worst part of that, because I'm not as good as I used to be before, I was bicycling a lot, now I'm away from those competitions, so I do that for fun now, no more competition.
Well, boxing brings out, helps you pull out that anger too.
Right.
But then if you have, if you have a good cushion at home, you could do that too.
So in other words, he could beat up the bag rather than me.
Yes,
No,
but it is fun. We didn't have a lot of laughs about it.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to laugh at yourself a bit, and so, but it was fun. But there's other things you can do.
Okay,
I have a comment and 2 questions in the chat. So the comment is, if you have had Parkinson's for 14 years, I think you are in very good shape. That was the comment. And then the question was, what are the severe symptoms towards the end that would make you think about moving out of your home?
That's a deep question, and I'll deter from answering on my personal, because it's too much of a, it's more of a subject I need to bring up and discuss in depth with my family, my children, before I like you said, I need to put things on paper, but it's not something in my close horizon. My husband is with me, he's home 24/7. So for me, it's not something I want to put on the radar. So it's It's
Yeah.
individually,
Depends on the individual situation. I would
certainly, but there's, I don't know if François wants to speak to that.
Yeah, like you said, this is each person is different, so it's a. It's
You
a hard
could
question.
adapt your home as well.
It's a hard question. I mean, it's hard to.
Yeah.
Have a good
As a
answer.
matter of fact, yeah, we called onto the CLFC in our region, who's gonna subsidize some work we're gonna do on the house for that, like, 2 years ago, we lived in Saint Colomban, we had a 2-story house, and we sold, now to have a 1-story house, so we did already that step. But now there's still a few more things we need to do within the house. Like we have few steps from the street, we're gonna get a ramp. For an eventual need of a wheelchair and things inside the shower to help you. Those things that the CLSC, if you consult with them, they'll send someone to the house and see what your needs are, and they'll subsidize from some of that work.
If you need also an escalator.
Yeah, but the best is to stay at your house the longer you can. Right, I think we'll all agree that, but it's gotta be viable and realistic as well.
I had the acorn stair lift put in my place,
Okay,
and it really has helped me to,
within the house,
yeah,
certainly there's ways, there's, call your local CLSC and they'll send someone to assess your needs.
I have another comment. You mentioned chemicals earlier. I used to work cleaning aircraft parts with a chemical called DG Clean. And I'm wondering if that could cause the symptoms.
I can't answer.
To be honest, we don't know.
It's not the level of expertise. I can speak to what I've been privy of, but you'd need to inquire within, again, Parkinson's Quebec or Parkinson's Canada, and then.
But one thing we can say, because 4 years ago, we've been to Quebec City at the Laval University, Laval. They do a test on the souris, mouse, and to give the Parkinson disease and the animal, they put pesticide and in the animal, so like that is.
and what were their findings?
Oh, they are working on that.
Oh, it's still ongoing.
Yeah, no.
Could each of you tell us what the symptoms were that alerted you or your doctor that you might have Parkinson's?
In my case, which is weird because I don't tremor, but I had tremors at the time. I was one leg, my right leg used to tremble when I was riding the car. And at first, I used to find it funny. And then people with me say, well, it's like driving in Montreal, it's got a speed bump. So I would, my foot used to tremor on the speed, on the pedal. And it would come and it would go and I say, oh, too much coffee or, might not sleep enough last night. And we brought it to our general practitioner's attention. And also my voice.
Yeah.
My husband says, we talk on the phone, he says, I can't hear you, talk louder. I can't hear you, so you can't hear me, clean your ears. It turns out that this with the tremors, they did the MRI, they did this and that, and they deducted by, other things like my problems, and memory problems, so that's the edge that they took in diagnosing.
Me, like I said, it was standing there, so I didn't know it was Parkinson's. In 10 minutes, she told me Parkinson's disease. Just I was like, whoa.
But what did she take from the mark on your arm? How did she decide that?
I don't know, it's maybe because it was rigidity.
Okay.
Maybe that's why she said it goes it start here and then in the hand, and after that in the leg. So she figured that I was on the one that, and it was true. Yeah.
Again, if they tested you right away with the first thing they give you is that yellow pill.
Yeah.
And which is apparently if you don't have Parkinson's and you take it, there's no, at least a short term period, there's no damage. But if they realize right away that if there's a positive reaction to it, then they say, well, because you don't have enough dopamine, and dopamine goes to Parkinson's disease. So,
But there are no foods that you can eat that have dopamine in them rather than taking pills.
again, I'm not a pharmacist or a medical doctor or whatever. I do what my neurologist directs me to do. You know, I don't see that as the dopamine as medication more than someone who has diabetes and takes the insulin. I see it as a replacement of a hormonal like that I have called dopamine. So I see it that way. We're just replacing something. You know, it's not for painkilling. It's just replacing something that's being lost. So I see it more of that way.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm making it clear. It's not a painkiller. You know, yes, we get addicted because it's a lack in our system where we need to replace. But it is a normal that we're replacing with a medication. So I see it more that way.
But to be honest, I don't think in there any fruits or vegetables with dopamine. I don't think so.
I'm not sure of this, but isn't dopamine a natural chemical that the brain releases when you exercise?
And they call it the hormones bonheur,
Yeah.
you know,
Endorphins.
endorphins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's dopamine?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very complex. You
Yeah.
know, you didn't need 10 years. At first, I searched for information and then I said, no. I mean, my source of information, be careful of the web. Don't go blindly, you know, if you have resources of good value, then you could depend on, but just don't go blindly. Google Parkinson's
Yeah.
disease, food replacement, and yes, they'll find you, you can eat this and that. You know, there's a lot of out there that's as good. The internet is as good, but there's a lot of bad on it, if more.
Right.
So go to proper resources and just don't go blindly because you'll get, oh, everybody has a remedy.
Right.
You know, everybody has a solution. If you do this or buy this,
Oh, yeah.
you'll be fixed, and just be wary of that. It's
Because there's a lot of what Donald Trump would call fake news.
fake news.
Yeah,
A lot of scams.
Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, fake news, stay away from that.
The use of a walker versus a cane or depends on the individual, I guess.
Yeah, and where you're at, you know.
Yeah.
I think if I don't have a walker yet, I have a cane. I don't use it very often. I'd say, you know, if I was in the house, I would use a walker. If I had to go out, I'd use a cane, but I wouldn't go outside alone anyhow, so it depends on me. You can't tell now because I'm standing straight here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're perfect.
give it a few hours.
I wouldn't say that anymore.
No,
Maybe.
the medication wears off and you get tired.
Yeah, yeah. As it wears off, you know, I'm not as, my mind is not as hard as it wears off, yeah. Which is wearing off slowly.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Linda and François.
Okay.
It's very much appreciated. I'm gonna stop the recording, but I think if anybody maybe has questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so very
Thank
much.
you so much appreciated. and
Hope we've answered some
inspiring.
questions and help direct you to proper resources, and we'll be sending you some links to look into. At least I know there's safe paths, safe directions to inform you, and be aware, just be careful of those fake and scammers out there.
And I'll make sure you receive all those links.
Sorry, it took all the time.
No. Yeah,